There's a very wide range of topics in this week's parsha. Really, to try to find exactly what binds all the topics together. It opens up with finishing off the story of Pinchas, that he becomes a Kohen in merit of what he did in last week's parsha of killing Zimri, and then after that we start going through all the mishpachas of Am Yisrael. That's the Chanoch, Mishpachat Chanochi. It's like enough, It's one of those. It's not even a census. It's not even the numbers. Just the families, and generally you could figure out the family name. Chanoch, Mishpachat Chanochi, Lefalu, Mishpachat Palui, Lechetzron, Mishpachat Chetzroni. Going through this, that basically everyone, just with it, at least only basically everyone just has the same family name as the name of the father figure, just Ha-Chanoch, so he's Ha-Chanochi. They're trying to understand, what that's all about. What's the necessity of that parasha. So Rashi is clearly bothered by this question, and we're going to read what he says. Right? Mishpachat Chanochi. Right? The fishers mevazim otam v'omrim ma elu mityachasim al shiftehem. Right, meaning this is as it were a pushback, right? That the guy made fun of the Jews. How could they possibly claim we're from Shevet Reuven, we're from Shevet Shimon, etc., etc. Right? Svarim hein shalosh otu mitzrim b'imotayim. While these guys were out to work, the mitzrim were with the women, hey, these guys are all, mamzerim, whatever, mamzerim, or shtuki, asufi. How could they know they're really from Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, etc.? So im gufa Moshe because if the Mitzrim had control of any Jewish man's body, to make him build the pyramids, he certainly had control over his wife. Right? Therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts His divine name on Am Yisrael. Right? Hey mitzad zeh v'yud mitzad zeh. Right? The hey at the beginning, like Chanoch, Mishpachat Ha Chanochi. Hey Ha Chanochi, and the yud at the end. Right? Lomar, to say, Meid ani aleim shem b'nei avoseim, I am now testifying that they are the children of their fathers. Zeh shefur shaydei David shiftei ka edus Yisrael. This is what the pasuk says, in Tehillim, on the Shir Shal Yom, I think, of Yom HaChamishi, shiftei ka, the name Yud and Hey, edus Yisrael. Hashem hazeh, the name Yud and Hey, Meid alehem l'shiftehem. Right? That's what attests to them, that they are really from these, from these shvatim. Fikach bekulam kasav hachanochi apalui. Abimna lo tzach lomar hayimni lefi Hashem kavua ba yud barosh v'hei basof. Right? So Yimna was the one exception. You didn't have to say Yimani because there's a yud and a hey. Yimna, yud and the hey at the end. Right? So basically, what Rashi is saying, that the importance of this parsha, right, is Am Yisrael's yichus. We really are who we say we are. The Egyptians, they didn't mess with our women. We are who we really are, and for that purpose, the name Yud and Hey, the name Ka, that's the divine name that testifies to Am Yisrael's yichus. Right, and that's why it's it's in every name and name, right? So the question is, what's it about the name Ka? Number one. Number two, why is it backwards? Ha Chanochi. The name is Ka. Shiftei Ka Edus Yisrael. That's also by we always in our Torahs we always refer to Shiftei Ka. It's based on this pasuk. The Shvatim of Ka, because the name Yud and Hey attests their yichus. So it says you have to have the name integrated with the family name. This is what testifies to the purity of the yichus, but the name's backwards. The Hey at the beginning and the Yud at the end. What's up with that? So even though I can't tell you what it would be grammatically, put the Yud at the first, Yud, right, it's high, right? Right? The shame is inverted with the Hey first, Yud second.
Maybe it's supposed to mean Anochi Hashem.
Mm-hmm.
They're supposed to be Rashi Tevos. Don't you go telling me that these people are not who they say they are. I'm God, hey Yod, and I testify that they are.
Right. Yeah. So what's hey? Yeah, I understand that that's what the name calls Edus Yisrael. Right, but why is it? But the way it was integrated name was the hey is at the beginning and the Yud is at the end. Right. All right. So now, but at least what we could say, al derech hapshat, just vis-a-vis the smichus aparshis, that immediately after Pinchas, right, we talk about the purity of Am Yisrael to teach you that that's where Pinchas was coming from. He was he killed Zimri, because he cared about the purity of the Jewish race, that we shouldn't intermarry with the Goyim. So maybe so we also the avoiding intermarriage, which was what Pinchas is all about. Zealotry against interrelating and intermingling with the Goyim, right? You should know this Jewish trait, was true even back in Mitzrayim. That's the Pasha Pshat, but we have to get into the deeper level with what has to do with the name Ka, and why is the Hey and the Yud inverted. Right? But what do we have? After we have this, it's very long. Goes on. Ushmida, Shmachada, Shmida, it goes on and on and on. Right? By every family, it should be the Hey and the Yud. Right? Making this testimony. Right? So after that, we start talking about the division of Eretz Yisrael. Right? And we have the Parsha, and of course, division of Eretz Yisrael, how it should be divided, making the preparation of how the hachana for dividing up the land amongst the Shvatim, which brings us to the story of Benos Tzlafchad, that said, hey, our father, was left, died young, right? And we want to get his Yerusha just because he has no son. So I'm saying if there's a son and daughter, the son gets it all, right? But since he had no son, we feel we should be Yarish. And Moshe Rabbeinu indeed, brings this halacha, question in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So it's a very interesting Rashi on this, and I spoke about this on another occasion, right? That the Davar Charuyos Parsha Zu. This parsha should have been written by Moshe Rabbeinu, but they were zoche. The Benos Tzlafchad were zoche that this parsha was written through them. Right, so it's a very stam. They raised a shaila, and it's called because in response to their shaila, Moshe had to ask, it's called that it was written by them. It's very strange, just because they raised it, it's like the whole parsha is credited to them. There was nichtava al yadam, meaning even though Moshe Rabbeinu asked God, Moshe Rabbeinu gets the nevuah from God, and only Moshe Rabbeinu is authorized to add it to the Torah scroll, al pi Hashem, right? But it's called nichtava al yadam. Right? That's something which needs a little bit of explanation. Right, and then after that comes the HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe, you're going to die. You got to make your preparations. Moshe Rabbeinu says, who's going to be the next leader? Yoshua, and he gives smicha to Yoshua, and all ends off with the korbanos. Right. So now, if we're looking at the parsha from a bird's eye view, right? Yeah, size fact it's jam-packed. But we could see a certain common denominator. Even Rashi sometimes makes the connections himself, that this whole parsha is geared towards preparing for life without Moshe Rabbeinu. Right? The most obvious giveaway from all the topics, right, is the smicha of Yoshua. That Moshe Rabbeinu gives him smicha in this week's parsha. V'sata mehot chalav. Right? And but what the parsha directly preceded is that Moshe Rabbeinu, why do you ask that who's the next leader? Right, because HaKadosh tells him he's going to die, right? And of course, his going to die was, is obviously mentioned connection to how to divide up the land of Israel, right? Because you're not going there, right? So give them now the instructions of how it's going to happen, how it's going to, right? And then there are the korbanos, and the korbanos, Rashi says, actually fits into this also, into this seder. Rashi says, al derech hapshat, we're going to go add another dimension to it. But Rashi says also the parsha of Karbonos, which, all the Karbonos of the whole year are in Parshas Pinchas. That's always the maftir that we read in the Yom Tov. It's always from Parshas Pinchas. All right, so Rashi brings a medrash, right? That as Moshe Rabbeinu tells God, listen, since I'm leaving, I want to know the Jewish people are going to be taken care of. Who's the next leader? So he tells them, go appoint Yoshua. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, since you're leaving, you're worrying about what I'm going to do for the Jewish people. Why don't you care about what the Jewish people are going to do for me when you're gone? Right? As the mashal is, a woman is about to die and she tells her husband, this is what I want you to do for the kids. I'm warning you, do this for our kids. She says, okay, can you warn them about what they should do for me, before you go? Right? So also HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe Rabbeinu, you're telling me, you're telling me what, quizzing me on what I'm doing and, begging what I should do. Why don't you tell your Am Yisrael what they should be doing for me before you go, because you're not going to be around to remind them, and that's the Korbanos, right? So Rashi is clearly making that connection. Even the Parsha of Korbanos being said over here as a function of how Moshe Rabbeinu is leaving, right? So which brings us to the question of how the Hanhaga changes, right? The whole Hanhaga changes because Moshe Rabbeinu is not going to be with us, right? An amazing thing, right? Halacha changed, in a fundamental way, right? When Moshe Rabbeinu was with us, right? What did we do when we had a Shiloh? Right? We asked him, right? And if God didn't tell him the answer, right? So he could ask God also, right? And it is understandable that even though we always had the right, ever since Matan Torah, to use the Yid Gimel Midas Shaton and Dreshbem to figure out halacha, we were allowed to use our svaras and our drashas, but of course, you understand, you're not going to bother with that if Moshe Rabbeinu is around. So even though the Rambam writes in the Sefer Mitzvahs and the Shor Sheni that maybe Moshe Rabbeinu himself made drashas, why not? Everyone has the right, because maybe HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there are certain things he didn't want to tell him, because he dafka wants you to use the Torah Shabbal Peh, right? But, a lot of times he had the right to ask, right? To clarify Sveikus. And only if God would refuse to tell him would use the drushes. But Moshe Rabbeinu is the only Navi like that in history. Ever since the P'tira of Moshe Rabbeinu, or even anyone other than Moshe Rabbeinu, even in his own time, that says in the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God told me this is the halacha. You kill him on the spot. Navi Sheker. Navi Sheker. Right? Because Moshe Rabbeinu was the only one Navi that was allowed Aydei Nevuah to bring down Torah to Am Yisrael. Right? So it was even true in his own time because he was the only one. But certainly after that in history, right? Ever since then, any type of suffix, you don't ask God. You can't ask God. Right? Yoshua, so the Gemara says in Tamura, that in the days of Evav Moshe, they forgot such and such halachas, and they forgot. Right? And they asked Yoshua, okay, bring it back. Yoshua couldn't say, I can't. So Asniel ben Knaz, hichziram bepilpulo. Asniel ben Knaz, with his pilpul, reconstructed. There's no asking God anymore. And the Navi says, God told his halacha, you kill him on the spot as a Navi Sheker. Right? Because lo bashamaymi. And it's amazing, the Lashon HaRambam in the Pirush HaMishnayos, ever since Moshe Rabbeinu died, Yoshua and Pinchas, the big people in our parsha, Pinchas and Yoshua, gets it. Yoshua and Pinchas do the same thing as Ravina and Ravashi. So beautiful, Lashon HaRambam. Mashiach Ravina Ravashi, who Mashiach Yoshua and Pinchas. Amazing. Right? The Hanhaga is about to change. The Hanhaga is going to change that Am Yisrael is going to have to stand on their own 2 feet. Because the special privilege of having Moshe Rabbeinu to ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu all our shilas, we're not going to have anymore. we have to discover the truth from ourselves, our own initiative. Torah used to come top down. God to Moshe to us. From now on, Torah is going to go bottom up. We're going to have to figure out the halacha, and min hashemayim, they'll be maskim to us, to whatever the Beis Din Agadol, whatever the Chachmei Ador paskin. Right, so that Baskel is this famous Tosfos. On that Baskel issue, being makrobet, there's a whole long list of terutzim on that. But the principle is, right? The principle is lo bashamayim. Lo bashamayim. So now Torah's going to go bottom up from now on. It used to come top down from Hashem to Moshe to us. Now it's got to go bottom up. Because that was a special privilege of having a Moshe Rabbeinu. That's, of course, a terrible tragedy of not having him. An opportunity to get it straight from God, and it's mutter, right? Right. So,
there was a time that Moshe would actually use the...
Yeah, so the Rambam says, even if he would, it wouldn't make it doraisa, Maybe he calls drushes are called divrei sofer, not to say that they're binding midrabban, but they're called divrei sofer. Even Moshe Rabbeinu would be the most. He says Moshe Rabbeinu technically had the right, but you wouldn't, right? If you have the right, you would not do so if you have the opportunity to ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu directly, unless right, unless unless HaKadosh says, this I refuse to answer, this I left up to the Chachmei Ador. That's possible. HaKadosh could refuse to answer and say, no, this I left for the Chachmei Ador, the Darshan, right? But now in our day and age, which started from the P'tir of Moshe Rabbeinu, right? The Hanhaga is, even if you forgot something that Hashem told Moshe Mamish, right, which the Rambam says, we're not choshesh for, because they tried to safeguard those things very, very much. But chas v'shalom, lu yitzuyur, it would happen. We would have to fill in the void with our own drushes, our own svars. We cannot go back to God and ask him, what did you say? All right, so if it would happen, not saying it would, but if it would happen, we'd have to fill in the void with our drushes. Right? Torah going bottom up. It went from Torah min hashamayim, now Torah goes min ha'oretz, right? El hashamayim. Just like the famous story of Elazar ben Hurkanus and the Chachamim, and God agreed with Elazar ben Hurkanus, Amar Rishua Raglav, and said, Lo b'shamayim he, right? Right? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu laughed, Nitzchuni banai, Nitzchuni bai. They beat me. I have to go with them. I have to go with the Chachmei Ador. I have to go with the Sanhedrin of Am Yisrael. Right? Okay, so now it goes from Oretz to Shamayim. And of course, Oretz is Eretz Yisrael. That's what Eretz Yisrael represents. Right? Everywhere else on the globe, other than Eretz Yisrael, is called Chutz La'aretz. Right? There's only one place called Oretz. There's only one place called Oretz, right? Eretz Yisrael. Everywhere else called Chutz La'aretz. Right? And that's the Davar Yadua, Ein Torah Ketar Eretz. The Ikar Torah Shabal Peh was supposed to be in Eretz Yisrael. Yadua. Right? So now,
So that's as far as some people say that they're abundant as well.
What?
There's, I heard something like that before.
Right. But anyway, right, that's, so Eretz Yisrael is Mamashyo, and that, it's halacha l'masa also, because the Ikar Torah Shabal Peh was meant to be the Sanhedrin Agadol. And the Sanhedrin Agadol is only in Eretz Yisrael. It has to be ideally in the Makam HaMikdash, and they have to be Husmach Be Eretz Yisrael, Kayadua. It's a very long sugyas, right? Right? So Moshe Rabbeinu, he was in the Midbar, and Eretz Yisrael was supposed to be the place where the transition takes place, and Eretz will be the Oretz that Torah comes up from. Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, udvar Hashem miYerushalayim. Right, but already the hachonis for this, like Koloshna Rambam, it's not for naught that the Rambam said Yoshua and Pinchas. The Rambam in Pirush HaMishnayos, the Rambam also, in the Hakdama to the Yad, Yoshua and Pinchas. These were the two leaders that picked up after Moshe Rabbeinu, and this is the parsha where the transition begins to take place. Transition didn't happen like a ton of bricks in one moment. It was, the whole inyan from Parshas Pinchas and onwards till the end of Sefer Dvarim is all paving the way for the new way, the new Hanhaga that will be, without Moshe Rabbeinu. That even Moshe Rabbeinu has to lay the groundwork for life without Moshe Rabbeinu, right? And it opens up with Pinchas, right? Because the halacha of Kanoim Pogimbo is a very interesting halacha, right? Right? It's halacha ve'ein morin kain, right? The guy has to figure it out for himself. If you ask the rabbi, should I skewer that guy? That's what the shiksa, right? Say no, don't. Right? The guy, it has to come from the guy himself. He has to figure it out for himself. It's halacha ve'ein morin kain. Not even supposed to ask, because if he asks, we'll tell him no. Right? That's breaking the rank of command. Right? It's breaking the rank of command. Instead of going top down, the citizen, all by his own volition, takes the initiative. Right? That's the din of Kanoim Pogimo. There's a lot to say about that fascinating halacha. Right? But for L'inyaneinu, right, the Torah opens up with finishing off the story of Kanoim Pogimo, which was Pinchas, right, taking initiative. Right? Not taking orders, which is top down, but taking initiative. Right? Right. So now going from there, I'm going to jump over. The idea of the hachanochi hapalui. I'm going to come back to that in a second. I'm going to go straight to Bnos Tzlafchad. Right. I'm going to go straight to Bnos Tzlafchad, and so we're said we're now already setting up for Eretz Yisrael, which is also consists of the theme of setting up for life without Moshe Rabbeinu. And like we said, the Ikar of Eretz Yisrael is the Torah Sheba'al Peh. That's going to be Dvar Hashem, Mirushalayim, right? Dvar Hashem, Dibur, right? The Divrei Elokim Chaim is going to be Mirushalayim, right? That's where the Sanhedrin Agoda is going to sit, and Paskin all the Shilas, because you can't ask Benavua anymore, right? So now it's not a coincidence that all of a sudden the women rose up with a Shilah. And it had to do with Eretz Yisrael, about Eretz Yisrael, right? About the Midah called Eretz, which by that Midah of Eretz, which is the Midah of Malchus, is called Torah Sheba'al Peh, like the Patach Eliyahu, that the Svarim say, Malchut Peh, Torah Sheba'al Peh, Karinan La, from the Zohar. Malchut Peh, Torah Sheba'al Peh, Karinan La, it's the Midah of Torah Sheba'al Peh. Right? And it's also called the Nekeva. Right? Eretz, Aratzot. Right? That Midah of Oretz is called Nekeva. Right? Right? Kicha Miste Ephra. So you learn you could do Kiddushay Isha from Oretz. Right? Without getting into all the many interconnections between Oretz and Isha. Right? Right? So now, but it goes more than that. In Shira Shirim, right? In Shira Shirim, who's the man and who's the woman? Klal Yisrael's the woman. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the man. The Doidi, and in Shira Shirim, the Dodi is HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Because we accept Hashem.
Right. We're the Makablim. Right? We're the Makablim. Right. Right. So the Inyan is an amazing thing. The Inyan that Bnos Tzlafchad took in it, women taking initiative, it represents Knesset Yisrael, taking initiative, asking the Shaila. So now, even though technically on paper Moshe Rabbeinu got the Nevuah and brought down the message, right? It's called Nichtava al Yodan, that they're rising up. The woman rise up. The woman is representing Knesset Yisrael. Woman represents Knesset, the Midah called Malchus, Midah of Knesset Yisrael. The Midah called Eretz. That's why it's not, of course, there was a Shiloh regarding Eretz. It's all it's the whole Midah of Eretz and the Midah of Nekeva, the Midah of Knesset Yisrael, taking initiative, asking the Shiloh. And that which Moshe, even though on paper, hear this very well, even though on paper Moshe Rabbeinu, seemingly brought down Torah, same way he brings down all of Torah, but it's called that it was Nichtav al Yodan, because it's paving the way for Torah Sheba'al Peh, that we make the drasha, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us siyata dishmaya to be mechaven ela emes. So even though on paper, Koshru tells it to Moshe, Moshe Rabbeinu tells it to us, but it's credited to them because it's going to be a precursor that the Nekeva, Knesset Yisrael, is going to raise the Shaila, and they actually tinus. That Koshru said, Kain benos stavcha dovros. The Lashon of the response is, they're saying good. Zeizogen good. They're saying good. They're mechaven ela emes. So even though, Moshe Rabbeinu is getting it, Torah's coming top down, but it's really coming top down in a responsive way. Benos stavcha were mechaven ela emes. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is just giving the stamp of approval. And that's the dynamics of Torah Sheba'al Peh. When we figure it out on earth, we're getting siyata d'shmaya from heaven in a hidden way. Moshe Rabbeinu saying, Kem roschad tzlovcha dovros, is actually paving the way for the new mechanics. We're going to get siyata d'shmaya to be mechaven el emes, but we're going to be mechaven el emes. Kain benos tzlovcha dovros. They're saying good. They're mechaven el emes. And the whole Moshe Rabbeinu bringing down the parsha of Yerusha, was actually, even though seemingly to the naked eye it looks like the way he brought down the rest of Torah, but Rashi says it's not that way. It was nichtava al yadon, meaning because his bringing it down is paving the way for the siyata d'shmaya that we get when we try to figure out the emes. And that's why the lashon of the nevuah was Cain b'nos. They said good. So that's called nichtava al yadon, because even though the mechanics are Moshe Rabbeinu is bringing it down, but it's bringing down the siyata d'shmaya that we're mechaven al emes, and or you could say like this, is bringing down the stamp of approval that we're mechaven al emes. So it's called nichtava al yadon, because the nature of it was to bring down the siyata d'shmaya and the stamp of approval for what benos stuff we're tiny.
It was a transitionary.
That's right. It's paving the way for the hidden siyata d'shmaya. That Moshe Rabbeinu bringing down the parsha of Yerusha was the precursor for the hidden siyata d'shmaya that there is when we try to figure out the emes, which is the midah of Am Yisrael, the Keva, God's woman, figuring out the emes. So with this we get back to, and of course this shows a tremendous dveikus between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's a hidden dveikus that we could be mechaven al emes. Listen, if we're mechaven al emes, that means that there's this hidden kesher, right? Right, that that kesher is open with Moshe Rabbeinu alive. God speaks through him. But now when Moshe Rabbeinu is nostalgic, that kesher goes into hiding. But there's this hidden kesher that we're mechaven al emes, right? That the woman figures it out. The woman of Shir Hashirim, right? Right. We're mechaven. We take the woman takes the lead. Earth, Eretz takes the lead. Shemayim helps it out, breaking the rank of command, going bottom up. So the Gemara says in Menachos, Ki beka Hashem tzur olamim, with the name Ka, Yud and Hey, HaKadosh Baruch Hu made two worlds, the higher world and the lower world. With Yud, Olam Haba is Nivra.
What about Gehenna? Supposedly it's under earth.
Hey, okay. Yeah. No, Gehenna's a part of it. That's the opening of the hay. You could fall out. You fall into Gehenna. No, I'm serious. The Gemara says that.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah, no. The wide open at the bottom. It's easy to fall out. No, that's Olam. No, Gehenna's a part of it. That's the hay is designed that way. Easy to fall out. But you could do tshuva and get back in through the little break between the leg and that's all. So Olam Hazeh is Nivra Behei. The Olam Elyon was Nivra B'Yud, because Yud represents Kedusha, like 10 people for a minyan, right? 10. It's always Kedusha, right? Yud is like one and indivisible. It's spiritual. It's indivisible because it's the small. It's a dot. It's like machshava as opposed to maisa, which is like the spiritual as opposed to the physical. The higher world was created with the yud, and the lower world was created with the hay. The midah called eretz, and also kayadu in the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, the final hay is this midah called eretz. This midah which is called nekeva. This midah that's called malchus is the hay, right? And the yud represents the olam ha'elyon, right? And of course, things ought to go top down from Yud to Hey, as is the order of the name Ka. Shamayim is mashpia to Aretz. The heavens rain onto earth, not just physically, but spiritually. The shefa comes both from Shemaim to Aretz. And now man and woman, and this is this famous Zohar and Parshas told us that works out, I'm sorry, it's the Medrash Hanelam in Parshas Chayesara, I believe, right? The whole relationship between man and woman is like the relationship of neshama and guf. Where did your neshama come from? Came from heaven, from that world that was nivra b'yud. Where did your body come from? It's a biological creature from the earth. We were made out of earth, right? Which is the hay, right? Your neshama and guf have a shamayim aretz relationship. Neshama from shamayim is mashpia to the guf that's from the aretz, right? And that's zachar and keva. Ish, he has the yud, and isha, she has the hay. And that's what Chazal say, if there's shalom bayis, shechina shruya b'neihem, because they're divine in, yud and hay. But if not, esha chalti, just the yud leaves the ish, and the hay leaves the isha, and you're just left with esh. Right? You get consumed by fire. Right? That's a Chazal. Right? Right? If Am Yisrael doesn't assimilate, right? If Am Yisrael doesn't assimilate, right? So, even though, of course, we have siyata d'shmaya from God not to assimilate, and that's what the famous word, I say in the name of a lot of Achronim. I remember hearing the name of the Beis Halevi, but I'm sure he's not the only one that says it. If we don't keep separate from the Goyim by ourselves, right? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu will make the Goyim push us away with anti-Semitism and lock us up in ghettos and concentration camps. But really, the way it's supposed to be is we're supposed to safeguard ourselves. Knesset Yisrael is supposed to push back against assimilation, just like Pinchas. He couldn't tolerate seeing assimilation, and he killed it. And that's a reaction of Knesset Yisrael striking back. And that's a Zohar also. That Pinchas, is the midah of bris, right? Pushing back to anyone who's mechalel the bris. And Kaidur, the midah of bris is the chibur of Yesod and Malchus, the vav and the hay. But it's like the hay pushing back, right? Purity, demanding survival of Jewish continuity. And that's also the secret, I heard from our Shir of Yaakov Weinberg, that af hein hayu boso anes, right? In Hanukkah, in Purim, and by Yetzias Shayim, the Shus in Galut. That's why the Chayv in Arba Kosov Pesach, the Chayv in Mikra Megillah, and the Chayv in Ner Hanukkah, Shaf hein hayu boso anes, the 3 holidays of Jewish survival. The women were very involved, Esther, and Yehudis, because it's Am Yisrael pushing back. The women are connected to the midah called Knesset Yisrael. That's why they're concerned with Jewish survival. Am Yisrael pushing back, not refusing to give up, refusing to assimilate. Right?
It also explains that if you ask someone if I should go kill these people when they're doing this hay, you say no, because the hay has a little opening in the middle. You might go to hell.
Mm-hmm. Right, so it's the meat of Knesset Yisrael, and so if we don't assimilate, right, so we don't find in Chazal that HaKadosh Baruch Hu magically made the Egyptians unable to touch Jewish women, right? At least I'm not aware of a lashon of Chazal. What it means, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's made on Am Yisrael that they preserve their purity. The women said no; the women would rather die than be with an Egyptian, right? That Am Yisrael, despite the fact that the Egyptians were sholet, right, Am Yisrael took the initiative to not assimilate, right? The hay took the initiative. The Yud gives the siyata d'shmaya, right? And that's why by the family purity, hay first, Yud second, because just Adrabah, the name Yud and hay represents our kesher with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We never cut off the kesher. The kesher between Elyon and Tachton is there, the Yud and Hey. Right? But when HaKadosh Hu testifies to Jewish purity, that they never broke the kesher, they never broke the bris. Because to break the bris with your own husband is like breaking the bris with the cosmic husband, which is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They never broke the bris. They kept their purity. Right? They kept the name Ka going. But when HaKadosh Hu wants to testify, they kept the name Ka going. Right? They were faithful to their husbands. Right? Which also represents, being faithful to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? Right, the cosmic husband. So HaKadosh Hu made him, the hay is first. Ha palui. The hay Knesset Yisrael took the initiative to be careful about their yichus, right? And HaKadosh Baruch Hu, crowned their efforts with success. But they wanted the purity, and they were Meiser Nefesh for the purity. That's why the Hay is first. Knesset, it started from below, and then the Yud kicks in from above to give the Siyata Dishmaya. Right? That's why Am Yisrael doesn't assimilate that. That's a badge of honor to Am Yisrael. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu just, of course, gives the Siyata Dishmaya. That's why being made that they are Shiftei Ka, in saying that the Hay first, and then the Yud. They took the initiative to preserve their purity, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is made that it was Matzliach, and they never broke the Kesher with him. So that's why Hay and Yud, they took the initiative, and it worked. Right? So that's the klal over here, that this parsha begins the transition for life without Moshe Rabbeinu. Now everyone knows if we would have been zocher to take Moshe Rabbeinu into Eretz Yisrael, right, it would have been much better. We could have had the best of both worlds, right? It wouldn't have to be this or that. We could have had Moshe Rabbeinu, what he gives, from HaKadosh Baruch Hu's side, from the man's side, from the Yud, and we could have had the meat of Eretz, had both of them together, as opposed to one or the other. And that's why also Moshe Rabbeinu, his P'tira is also part of the Churban. Like Kayadu, if Moshe Rabbeinu would have come into Eretz Yisrael, would have attained full tikkun very rapidly, it would have never been a Golus. Right? So that's why we read this, Parshas Pinchas during the 3 weeks. Because, the fact that we weren't Zohar to take Moshe Rabbeinu with us is actually a precursor for Golus. Because we could have taken him with us, we could have merged the two Hanhagas together and attained Shleimus much more rapidly. But when Moshe Rabbeinu prepared us for life without him, he wasn't just preparing us for life without him in Israel. He was also preparing us for life without him in Golus. Because even though we've been chucked out of Eretz Yisrael, right, the Torah never ceased. Even though we were deprived of a Sanhedrin and we were deprived of Nevi'im, right, the Torah hasn't ceased. The Mishnah was written after Churban Abayis. And the Gemara not just was written after Churban Abayis, but it was written in Bavel. And the Rambam and the Shulchan Aruch never stopped that Am Yisrael, no matter what they're pushed down to, could always pick themselves out and find the emes. Setting up that mahalach that makes it possible that Knesset Yisrael could always take care of themselves, no matter what they're thrown into. The paving of that way, and that Hanhaga started with Yoshua and Pinchas. Mashiach Ravir Vashu, Mashiach Yoshua and Pinchas, that starts with this parsha. And that's why this parsha is the opening parsha within the 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that also explains what you said before a couple weeks ago about Sotam. What's the big shit about Sotam?
Right.
It also explains that.
Yeah, right.
The bond.
Right. Thank you.